Okay, welcome to the final installment of my review and the modifications I've done to my Canyon Ultimate CFSL Disc 8.0 Di2 Aero. Alright, so in my previous bike, which was a Canyon Ultimate CFSL X Di2 caliper braked, rim braked model from last season with the second generation Di2. Now this model is running the third generation, but the second generation Di2, right? So with that bike, I had a Stages second generation left only crank arm power meter. That was a really good power meter. I had no problems with it. It was great. The only thing was that the battery would drain even if I was not using it. So I'm a weekend warrior. I ride on a Saturday. By this Saturday, I hang up the bike. Next Saturday, I tried the power meter. The battery would have been totally drained. So I had to manage it by after every ride, taking the battery out, keeping the battery one side, and just before I ride, the next time, insert the battery again. That's how I managed it. Now, my previous Canyon was also a small size Canyon, and it was supplied with 170 mm crank arm length. To my horror, when I received this bike and I wanted to transfer the Stages power meter with 170 crank arms onto this bike, I realized that it was a mismatch, because this bike in small was supplied with 172.5 mm long crank arms. So, I had to go and sell my Stages power meter, and I had three choices. One, buy a new Stages power meter, a second-hand one, sorry. Buy a second-hand used Stages power meter. But, you know, all the used second-generation power meters are in Shimano 6800 series, whereas this crank is an R8000 series. So the design is slightly different. It wouldn't be a close match. Could I use it? Yes, absolutely could use it, but it would not be a perfect match. So that's not really an option. I could buy a brand new third generation R8000 Stages power meter, but it is very expensive. A new one has better signal strength, better water resistance, but way too expensive. Third option, AliExpress. So I went on AliExpress and I was looking at the reviews, and I noticed this Xcadey. I'm not sure if that's how they pronounce it, but Xcadey left side only power meter. Now what's advertised on the site was exactly like a Stages or a 4i, where it's a power meter strain gauge glued onto the original Shimano crank arm, and then with a removable battery. But reading the reviews from the AliExpress website, I noticed that they were recently shipping this model, the one that I got, the one with a rechargeable battery. So non-replaceable, but rechargeable. They supply you a USB to a proprietary attachment, magnetic attachment over here, where the thing just clicks into place and charges this thing. Now, that was great. And the reviews were good. People were reporting that it tracked quite similarly to Stages or to their trainer that had built-in power meters. It tracked quite accurately. And I decided I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to take the plunge and buy this China-made power meter. How much did it cost me? It cost me $388.79 Singapore. That's roughly less than 282 US dollars. Now, this was the price that was shipped to my doorstep in Singapore. It took about 2 weeks, 10 days, not even 2 weeks. And installed it, was great. However, for this bike has disc brakes, and I think the chainstays to accommodate the whole hub set and the disc rotor, it's wider than a normal caliper brake, if I'm not mistaken. So that moves the chainstays out a little bit more than with a regular rim brake bike. And this results in this strain gauge power meter thing making contact with the chainstay. Problem. Damaged my chainstay, damaged the power meter, damaged the strain gauge. So I went online, no solution, not much mention about how this is solved, except somebody from the AliExpress who had bought this before and gave a review had the same issue. And what he did was he just took a fine file and he filed away 1 to 1.5 millimeters from the power meter. So you can see it's a little rough over here because I filed away some of the material over here and solved the problem. No more contact with the chainstay. The power meter still works perfectly. Fine readings about whatever I used to have the same power output with the stages. Everything looks fine. Would I recommend this? I don't know. Buyer beware, because it may screw up the strain gauge readings, because remember, this thing is glued onto the crank arm and it could be quite sensitive. It could compromise the water resistance if you file too deeply. So those are some of the things that could go wrong if you get this. But I took the risk, I took the plunge, I made the modifications, and it's working out great for me. No issues at all. So that's it. That's all the modifications I made on this bike. Made the tires, took out the tubes to make this tubeless, put in the sealant, original Mavic sealant, runs great. Put in this Xcadey power meter, works great. Put in this wireless transmitter right here, works perfectly, syncs with my mobile phone. I have the Shimano eTube app on my smartphone, allowing me to make any kind of adjustments to the Di2 system. I could make this button shift down, or I could make this button shift down, or vice versa. You can do all sorts of adjustments with the Di2 app. And then it allows the Di2 system to talk to the Garmin as well, and to enable these buttons to do stuff with the Garmin. So that's fantastic. Changed the handlebar tape, changed the seat, and that's about all the mods I made. Yeah, and including this aftermarket AliExpress Garmin mount. And that's it. If you have questions about this bike, drop me a line and I'll try to reply as soon as I can. Thank you for watching. Give a thumbs up if you like this video. Thank you very much.